I've done, what did I do in the past? I did a 5 times videos series, which meant over a 2-hour stream, which is what I used to stream on weekdays before we got teenagers and other things. That would mean that a 2-hour video was basically 10-hour game day, 10 hours of game time, and approximately 1 game day per video, which was nice. And that was back in the days of Farm Sim 19 and Real Ismus's seasons pack. But I haven't at this point I haven't gotten longer than 3 days. I tend to find 3 days is kind of adequate. It does allow the animals, I'm not feeding the animals every single day, although at the current state I'm at the moment, where I can't produce enough food for them, I sort of am. I did, that was something we did last week, or the week before, when I did cut the grass bales. I gave the grass bales directly to the cows, and so along with the silage they had, they were up to almost 500,000 litres of food. I'm not sure how they're sitting at the moment. Haven't looked. So they're down to 327. That's probably good enough to get us into August, and then we're going to have a food problem with them again. It is. Well, it's barley. Barley tends to be a better yield than the other cereals. And I'm going to get stuck in the corner here because the auger's on the wrong side. Fortunately, lots of grass on the side of the field. And go. Stop. Okay, I'm going to turn you off and back you up, dude. Oh, yeah, there's a bale there. That's good. That will allow this thing to back up into this rather convenient headland. Yes. Okay, and then we need John Deere. But yeah, as far as this series is concerned, we do have, I'm going to finish the harvest, I'm going to finish planting for next year, and I'm probably going to sell most of the crops that we have. We're probably going to have an absolute ton of money, because the bakeries are already in production, and that's scary. How much money that makes in a month. I do have the possibility that we could buy more ground, but I'm kind of testing. I want to test what the maize silage comes out like, and whether I can store it in the bale storage shed, because we do have problems with the purchased bales in the bale storage shed, which is not a good thing. So I think we did 10% there. But it will, I'm kind of looking forward to this. I'm not saying this series is going well. I wouldn't say it's particularly stale. But we have kind of proven that it works, just with, I need to position the harvester first. Then we'll get the Arian back on this game. But I think that, I mean, back when we were, Farm Sim 17 ran 2 years, Farm Sim 19, I think even then, I planned for Farm Sim 19 to run 2 years, and then it didn't. But I think by the time we were 2 years in, we'd proven that we could run a 1,500 head of sheep farm, and it was going well. So it's not like it was, but we still had things to do. So the series could keep running. This series we've been running for about just under a year and a half, and I'll probably take us up to. There's a mod out called click to switch any vehicle you can visually see. You can right click to see the next. Oh. Yes, I have seen that mod. There's a number of mods I have downloaded that I just haven't bothered activating on this series, and with script mods I tend to be very careful on that count because sometimes they don't play well together. Like you said, it'll open the course play window as well as tabbing to a vehicle. I can probably live with that sort of thing, but we do have some situations where I add a mod and things just go badly. So I like to add scripting mods one at a time to make sure there's no conflict. And I'll add them in the sequence that I would prefer to, I can't do without this one, I'm going to add this one first, then I'm going to add this next one. Oh, that didn't work. Is there another option that I can take for similar stuff? It's like I use the lumberjack mod for strength. I could use Easy Development Toolkit, but I have found the measure mod was one I usually used to use since Farm Sim 17 just to cut lengths of lumber. Very, very handy, but unfortunately it didn't play with something that I'm using, so that went. But there are other mods that you can see the length of stuff, of lumber, so it's not too bad. I don't do a lot of lumber. Maybe we'll do on Glenleithan, because that's something we did a lot of on that other place in Scotland, Lawfolds, which was a terribly fun map, I must admit. Okay, how am I going to do this? I'm trying to figure out how to do this and keep the boulder from getting entangled in stuff. But we'll see how that works out soon. Yes, I have had issues on this map with the Anderson extractor and the Anderson bale collector, round bale collector. So much so that I did end up with Stay Puft Marshmallow Man rampaging across the fields, which was less than ideal. So I had to get rid of both of those pieces of equipment, which is a little unfortunate. But that's why I'm using the auto load function on the Roland, which up until recently is not something I've really used much of. I bought that trailer right at the beginning of this series and then never used it. Okay. John Deere. Yes. I think I'm going to pull forward and make use of that little bulge in the hedgerow. And I bought the Roland trailer primarily because it came up on sale, so it was a case of, I know I'm going to need a bale trailer, so I'll just buy it now. Then I got the Anderson and just never bothered using it. But it has become a problem with the other stuff. Okay, I think what I'm going to do here is I'll pull a 180 at the end there, and we will cut a second headland. Then I can cut in. This field isn't long enough to fill up the harvester tank, so I need to get this out of the way. And I'm also selective with equipment mods as well. I tend to look at what equipment do I run on this map. Okay, that's what I'm going to select to download. I shouldn't have done that. There we go. Oops. So yeah, also, I mean, as an example, I know there's a Valtra mod, equipment mod. I haven't bothered with that because I'm not planning on using Valtra on this map. Now I might decide, okay, on the next map I'm going to use less John Deere equipment, so I'm not going to select half my John Deere stuff. And I might load the Valtra tractor pack instead. Had issues around bale auto stack on Ethan. Yeah. Now, were you using the Anderson or one of the in-game round bale stackers? Oh, hang on, no, the Anderson is the in-game auto stacker. I forgot about that, yeah. Let's cut in, ooh, eeny, meeny, miny, go. But yeah, I'm thinking for Glenleithan I might look into running square bales instead of round. Or maybe wrapping round bales and grass and hay and this stuff that's falling out the back of the harvester, straw, as square. It's just something different. We're getting to the point on this farm where I have the sufficient horsepower to run an older square baler, not the more modern ones. They tend to need sort of 270 horsepower, which I just don't have. But some of these smaller ones, possible. I could go completely square and use the Goviel stationary wrapper, which could be an interesting thing. Although that only wraps the smallest of square bales, which again I tend to like using the bigger bales because it's less to transport. Yes, drink is done. I don't know that I'm going to be using the new farmer mode. Probably. Oh, I didn't do another headland here. Let's take care of that. I'm probably not going to start from scratch. We did this for this series, so it does take a longer time to get the series up and going. I mean, obviously, once you're established, like this farm now is, it's much easier to make the money, buy the fields, everything else. I know Glenleithan has a more what's the word for it? Its economy, as far as land is concerned, is quite a bit more restrictive. Okay, hopefully this won't screw up the baler too much. Go. But yeah, we'll expand as we're able to, but I'm thinking of possibly doing farm manager rather than new farmer or start from scratch. I mean, I'm not scared of doing start from scratch. We've done it a lot of the time. All the farmyards will be... Oh, what? I have to buy my own buildings. Ooh, that'll be fun. But that'll be fun and I can build it as I want. And I will be using, I can't remember what the mod name is, the one that expands the number of bits of equipment that are on store sale. Which I believe is something Disturbed's using on his Saxthorpe playthrough now. But more used equipment might be a little bit fun. I mean, we did start this series on used equipment. This grain trailer, the Roland was used, the huge manure truck was used. We ended up with a used Deutz Series 7, which was a really nice tractor. But so much time, it's sort of, yes, I could use a piece of equipment. I'm going to wait. You know, it's like with harvesters. Oh my goodness. The first year, I was sort of getting to the point where it would be nice to get a new harvester, or nice to have a harvester on the farm, should I say, because up until that point, I was leasing harvesters every year. And I think we ended up with this came up. The next day, Alexian came up, and it's like, I just can't afford that size of harvester. But I'm done with harvesting, so I'm not in any great rush. I'll wait until see what comes up during the year. And it's like nothing came up during the year, so I ended up having to buy a brand new harvester. And then the next day, Store Sales comes up with something similar, and it's just like, oh, but I needed to be cutting the harvest the day I cut it. But okay, so buying a yard, planning the yard. Okay, that's different from, because I saw Disturbed's moving his Maypole series to Glenleithan, and so he went and bought a yard and demolished all the buildings. But it's going to be interesting not having any. But it allows me the freedom of placing buildings. So that's not a bad thing. It means I need to spend less time looking at the map and deciding what yard I want to buy because of what's in it, as opposed to which yard I want to buy because of location and fields around it and what's actually in the fields at the moment. Because that can make a big difference. Sort of, well, that farmyard's nice, but it's surrounded by sugar beet fields, and I'm not planting sugar beets right now, so that one over there is surrounded by cereal. Let's go buy that one instead. There's one of the drivers, you know, the farm we started on, which happens to be the westernmost cow farm on the northwest corner of this map, I selected that because of the fields that were near it. And we've really expanded in that area. It's convenient distance from the dairy, which is nice because milk from the cows. I didn't bother buying the oil mill. I could have done. And the flour mill is annoying because it's a long way south of where I am, and then it's a long way east to the bakery. So there are some issues, but yeah, it's part of the gameplay. It's picking where you want to be. That's going to be the most efficient for what you're planning to do, and I don't mind that. That's okay. I must admit, I didn't notice that there was a placeables area on Glenleathan like there is on this map. Where is it? The bit up here. I appreciate this being here. It's not near the farm, so whatever I build there, I'm having to transport stuff to it, which I'm not really one for. Oh, I'll just build a BGA in my farmyard and then deliver all the bales to it. It's sort of no. There should be some level of transporting stuff to places. But I'm never against convenience. Okay, we're done there. John Deere's there. Actually, the John Deere is 1%, not 4. Okay, we will turnips. Yeah, thanks. And I can turn that off. No, turn that on. It's the next one along I want. I can turn that off. Yes, indeed. Okay, that's better. And now we have to go to someplace. As I developed it, I started to reduce that number to 5. Yeah, I must admit I did that on this series. I removed possibly 2 sheds on that cow farm and replaced them with a garden growing tomatoes. I am not going to be using any gardens in the next series, at least not initially. Going to try and produce most of the things we need with arable stuff. We may end up excuse me while I look up what I'm doing. We're 50% done with this one, and it needs to go to the farmers market, which is that one there. Thought so. Okay, let's go. So yeah, I guess if the yards are empty, then when I need a placeables area, I can just buy a yard and use it for placeables. That's fine, I I guess. But yeah, I like the ability to be able to edit a farm. One of the things I didn't like about what was Oxygen David's first map on 19? Is it Marwell Manor or something like that? In New Farmer mode, you got what was it? All the buildings, and on Farm Manager mode, or Start from Scratch mode, you got none of the buildings, but you couldn't place the farmyard. So if you wanted to play with the farmyard, but you wanted to play in sort of hard mode, or a more what's the word for it? User choice mode, let's say, you would have to do New Farmer, so all the buildings were in the yard, and then sell everything and edit the money and all the rest of it, so that you could actually play with the yard as it was. What am I doing here? I'm trying to empty that. Whereas with a lot of the other maps, either they give you all of the buildings all of the time, like this map does, and then you have to go and demolish them and build your own yard, or they do give you the buildings that they've used, and you can use them directly. I think that was possible.